So I, 19, female, and my boyfriend, 18, male, have been dating for 2 years now. Early on in our relationship, he made it clear that he wanted to move in together, and I wasn't opposed to the idea because we have a great relationship. Additionally, my dad is an alcoholic, so I was happy to get away from him. However, we didn't have the money at the time, so he talked to his grandma, who had a spare room, and asked if he could make that our room and I could move in. She agreed, and soon after I moved in, I started paying rent. When I moved in, I noticed that his grandma is a little lazy around the house. I like her a lot. She's super sweet, but she just doesn't do anything around the house. So, it ended up just being me doing the cleaning because my boyfriend works a lot and I didn't want him to come home to a messy house. The thing with his grandma is that she always goes and visits her daughter, Janice, who is 34 years old. She helps her out, meaning she cleans and cooks and does all those nice things for her. However, when she comes home, she's exhausted and doesn't do anything around here. I get that she's tired, but I don't understand why she does her grown daughter's chores all day every day and lets her own home rot. Anyways, on to the real issue. The house was missing lots of basic things like cleaning stuff. For example, a vacuum cleaner and a toilet seat. I bought those things and plenty more, including other cleaning supplies, cooking supplies, a carpet, and a cabinet for all her paperwork. I did this because things were flying all over the place and it was chaotic. Then, the school year started and Janice has 2 little daughters, as well as my boyfriend's little sister, Maddie. Janice would bring Maddie to school at around 7:45 a.m. and then drop by Grandma's house. They would talk for about an hour and then go back to Janice's house. Janice would always ring the doorbell and be extremely loud, waking us up. This bothered me because on my days off, I like to sleep in until at least 9 a.m. I asked Grandma to please ask Janice to not ring the doorbell and call her phone instead so that the bell wouldn't wake me up. I also asked them to close the kitchen door to reduce the noise of their conversations. It worked for about 3 days, and then it went back to being extremely loud. So, I asked Grandma again, and it would work for another 3 days, and then go back to being loud. This pattern continued for about a whole year. Then, the new year rolled around and Maddie's school started at 7 a.m. This meant that Janice would be at Grandma's at like 7:05 a.m., and she was being extremely loud again. Now, I'm frustrated because there is no reason I should be up at 7 a.m. on my day off. So I decided to talk to Janice directly, thinking she might understand. We went to visit her and I explained my concerns. However, she got super upset and told me that it's not my home. I reminded her that I pay rent and do basically every single thing around the house, so I should have the right to ask her not to ring the doorbell. I suggested that she call Grandma instead so she can open the door, or she could use her spare key if Grandma doesn't pick up. But she didn't back down and told me I couldn't forbid her from coming. Then, she went to her husband, started crying, and he kicked us out. When we got back to Grandma's, I was furious and packed up all my things and left. By everything, I mean everything I've paid for, including stuff that everyone uses. I assumed since it's not my home and I don't get a say in anything, there was no reason for my stuff to stay there. So I went back to my dad's house for a couple of months. Eventually, my boyfriend asked me to come back to Grandma's because he didn't want to face the consequences of something he didn't do. I reluctantly agreed and returned. It's now been about 3 weeks, and I haven't brought any of my stuff back because they haven't stopped being loud in the mornings and still haven't started doing anything around the house. I don't see why I should bring anything back if nothing has changed. Today, my boyfriend bought a toilet seat because they didn't have one the whole time I was gone. I told him that I wouldn't bring mine back because nothing had changed. He said okay and got one. When he walked in with it, his grandma loudly said, "This one's mine." At first, I didn't think much of it because yes, it is hers, but why did she feel the need to say it so loudly? She also makes other remarks about me leaving and taking my stuff. She says I can't just leave anymore, and I won't be getting a key this time around. She also tells me that I hurt my boyfriend so much by leaving in the first place, and how things around here won't change as long as her name is on the lease. I feel like she's being super shady, and it's making me feel bad for taking all my stuff back. However, I still think it was the right decision, because I wasn't being treated like an actual part of this household. So, why should I pay for anything then? Am I the jerk for taking my stuff back, or is she being shady for not dropping it? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. This is so exhausting. Why do you stay? Living alone and being alone has to be way better than this toxic family. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Leave and stay gone, girl. They are using you. Now, for the update. Thanks to everyone who read my last post. I appreciate the support and advice I received. It's been a couple of weeks since I last updated, and a lot has happened since then. After the whole toilet seat incident, things have been tense around the house. Grandma's comments have continued, and it's clear she hasn't let go of the fact that I took my things when I left. My boyfriend has been trying to mediate between us, but it's not really working. He's caught in the middle, and I can tell it's wearing on him. I've been keeping to myself, mostly staying in our room when I'm not at work or school. I haven't brought any of my stuff back, and I've been using the bare minimum to get by. It's not ideal, but I'm not ready to invest more into this household when I feel like my contributions aren't appreciated. The other day, something odd happened. I found a note tucked under our bedroom door. It was from Maddie, my boyfriend's little sister. She asked if we could talk because she was feeling sad about how everyone was fighting. I haven't had a chance to sit down with her yet, but I'm planning to. It's not her fault that the adults are having issues, and I don't want her to feel caught up in this. Janice has been coming over less frequently, but when she does, it's like she's making a point to be louder. I've tried to ignore it, but it's hard when you're being woken up at the crack of dawn on your day off. I've considered wearing earplugs, but I shouldn't have to resort to that in my own home. In a surprising turn of events, my dad called me. We haven't spoken much since I moved out, but he said he wanted to check in and see how I was doing. He sounded sober, which was a shock. He mentioned something about wanting to make amends, but I'm not sure what to make of it. I'm cautious about getting my hopes up, but it was nice to hear from him. My boyfriend and I have been talking about finding our own place, but money is tight, and it's not easy to find affordable housing in our area. We've been looking at listings and considering our options, but nothing has come up yet. Just yesterday, I overheard Grandma on the phone with someone. She was talking about needing to make some changes around the house and mentioned getting a new couch. I found it strange because she's never talked about buying furniture before. Plus, the couch is one of the few things I didn't take with me when I left. It made me wonder if she's planning to replace more than just the couch. My boyfriend has been working extra hours to save up money, and I've been picking up shifts at my job as well. We're both exhausted, but we're trying to make this work. I've been feeling disconnected from him, though. With all the stress at home and our conflicting schedules, we barely have time to talk about anything other than the situation at home. I've also noticed that Grandma has been leaving the house more often. She's usually gone when I get home from work, and I don't know where she's going. It's not like her to be out so much, and I can't help but feel like she's avoiding being at home with me there. To add to the confusion, I've been getting calls from a number I don't recognize. I haven't answered them, but they've been persistent. I'm not sure if it's related to everything else that's going on, but it's just another thing that's been weighing on my mind. I'm trying to stay positive and focus on the future, but it's hard when it feels like everything is up in the air. I'm not sure where I stand in this household, and I'm not sure where my relationship with my boyfriend is going if we can't find a way out of this situation. I guess I'm just looking for some stability, but it seems like that's too much to ask for right now. I'll keep you all posted on what happens next. Now, for the comments. Comment 1. Hey there, it sounds like you've been through a lot with this living situation. It's totally fair to want a peaceful environment, especially early in the morning. You did what you could to address the noise issue respectfully. Taking your belongings when you left was your right. They're yours after all. Hang in there and keep saving for your own place. It's tough now, but you're taking steps towards a better situation. Comment 2. Have you tried having a calm sit-down with everyone in the house, including Janice, to set some ground rules? It might help clear the air. Also, it's great to hear your dad reached out. Maybe there's potential for support there? Keep focusing on your goal of moving out, and remember, your well-being is the top priority. Now, for the next story. I, 28-year-old female, have a brother, Elijah, 24-year-old male, I do not speak with. I consider him dead to me. He molested my sister, has allegedly raped multiple women, and went to jail for a vague child exploitation charge, which we all presume is kitty corn since he's been caught multiple times talking to minors. My parents still talk to him for some ungodly reason. Last night my father called me to say, "You're an aunt." When pressed, he said, "Elijah has a 1-year-old they just got the paternity tests back from." I said, "Then no the frick I'm not." Dad pressed, and I responded more firmly, "No, I am not an aunt." My parents know my sister Ruth, 21-year-old female, and I do not have a relationship with this man and actively hate him. My other sister has a very distant, follow on Instagram kind of relationship with him. My mom got into a fight with Ruth, who called me in hysterics because she and my other sister weren't excited about this baby. Elijah has admittedly beaten me to everything. He got a car first, that my parents paid for, he got married and divorced, first, among other things. He has gleefully made a point to beat me to life milestones. I am engaged and planning on having children a year or so from now, and have always wanted to have the first grandchild. That is where I think I might be the jerk. Perhaps my judgment is clouded with bitterness. Edit. This is a one-sided race that I thought was stupid. However, my family places a lot of importance on the first baby. It's a big deal. I think that I thought if I gave them that, they would love me, and I would finally be enough for them. Understanding where this comes from, I will emphasize it is no longer affecting my judgment about this, but I still don't think my and my fiancé's family will be safe with Elijah around. I told my mother if she acknowledges this baby as her grandchild, I will no longer have a relationship with her, and my children will not have a relationship with her. To me, I can pretend she doesn't still have a relationship with Elijah if it's behind closed doors and she keeps her mouth shut about it. But if she allows this child to come and go in her life, she is openly recognizing her relationship with Elijah, and I can't forgive that. I am too protective of Ruth. I feel like she is choosing this evil man over her other 4 children, one of which is still a minor. My fiancé and I have made it very clear in the past that Elijah will come nowhere near our family, and if she acknowledges his son, she is letting him into her life openly, and we cannot tolerate that. It is both a protection of our future children and respect for Ruth. I am tired of thinking about my mother's feelings first and always letting her get her way. I am putting my foot down on this. Am I the idiot? Edit. It's not even about the baby. It is about allowing Elijah another foothold back into this family. My family has a tendency to forget all past crimes once a cute baby is around. Elijah will be allowed to slip back into our lives, endangering my minor sibling and all children my siblings and I have. Yes, I'm a piece of shit for harboring resentment against an innocent baby, but it's not even about the baby. I cannot and will not allow my sibling to be hurt or have Ruth be subject to my parents' indifference to her pain. She has already made the choice to not come home for Christmas over this. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Here's the problem. It's not the child's fault. Your brother is a monster. Your parents are enablers. The child is innocent. Your emotions are understandable. They're not entirely reliable. Cutting your parents off for their son's attack on your sister, being a child toucher, and all-around disgusting human being are legitimate. The child, though, no idiots here, edited to correct a hilarious typo. Comment 2. What an awful situation for everyone to be in. I'd be most worried about Elijah having a relationship with his child given his history. At the end of the day, this child is innocent and is your parents' grandchild. You can't just wish that away. I'm not going to call you a jerk, though, because I understand why you and your sister would be upset about this. Now, for the update, a week has passed since the bombshell about Elijah's kid dropped. I've been on an emotional treadmill, just running through the same cycle of anger, frustration, and disbelief. Ruth and I have been talking every day, trying to make sense of it all, but it's like trying to solve a puzzle with half the pieces missing. Mom and Dad have been trying to reach out to me, but I've been screening their calls. I can't deal with their attempts to smooth things over right now. They don't seem to get that this isn't something you can just put a band-aid on and call it fixed. My other sister, the one who follows Elijah on Instagram, has been oddly quiet. I'm not sure where she stands, and I'm too drained to ask. My fiancé has been my rock through all of this. He's been supportive, listening to my rants and holding me when the frustration turns to tears. We've had long talks about what this means for our future, for our plans to start a family. The idea of bringing a child into this mess feels like walking into a minefield blindfolded. Just when I thought things couldn't get more complicated, my youngest sibling, the minor, let slip that Elijah has been trying to contact them. They showed me messages where Elijah was playing the doting uncle, acting like nothing was wrong. It made my blood boil. I told them to block him immediately and not to engage. I can't believe he'd have the audacity to reach out like that, but then again, nothing he does surprises me anymore. Ruth has been avoiding home like it's the plague. She's been staying with friends, and I don't blame her. The house must feel like a war zone to her. I've offered for her to stay with me, but she's fiercely independent, always has been. She says she's fine, but I can hear the strain in her voice. The situation with Mom acknowledging Elijah's kid has reached a stalemate. She's been posting pictures of the baby on her social media, acting like a proud grandma. It's like a slap in the face every time I see it. I've unfollowed her, but mutual friends mention it, and it's like ripping off a scab over and over. I had a moment of weakness and ended up scrolling through Elijah's social media. It was a mistake. There he was, playing the part of a loving father, with comments from people congratulating him. It made me sick to my stomach. I blocked him too, but the images are burned into my brain. My fiancé and I had a serious talk about moving away, starting fresh somewhere. Elijah and his toxicity can't reach us. It's a tempting thought, but it feels like running away. Plus, I don't want to leave Ruth or my youngest sibling behind. They shouldn't have to pay for Elijah's sins. Yesterday, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I answered, and it was Elijah. I don't know how he got my number, but there he was, on the other end of the line, asking if we could talk. I hung up without saying a word. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely press the end call button. Today, I found a letter in my mailbox. No return address, but I recognized the handwriting immediately. It was from Elijah. I haven't opened it. It's sitting on my kitchen table, like a grenade waiting to go off. My fiancé says we should burn it, but part of me needs to know what it says. It's a twisted curiosity, or maybe I'm just looking for more reasons to justify my anger. Ruth called me tonight, more upset than I've heard her in a long time. She said Mom had invited her over for dinner, and when she arrived, Elijah was there, holding his kid. Ruth left immediately, but the damage was done. She's at a breaking point, and I don't know how to help her. I'm torn between wanting to protect my family and wanting to cut all ties and save myself. It's a constant tug of war in my head. I keep looking at that unopened letter, wondering if it holds any answers, or if it's just another one of Elijah's games. I'm going to open it. I need to know what he has to say. Maybe it'll give me some clarity, or maybe it'll just confirm what I already know. Either way, I can't leave it sitting there, this unknown that's casting a shadow over everything. I'll update when I've read it, but right now I'm just trying to muster the courage to break the seal. Now, for the comments. Comment 1. Hey there, I get where you're coming from, but have you considered therapy for you and Ruth? It might help to navigate these complex emotions. Also, have you talked to your parents about how their actions affect you and Ruth's healing process? Comment 2. Oh, honey, this is messier than a soap opera. I say, burn that letter like it's a cursed artifact from an Indiana Jones movie. But seriously, protect your peace and your sis. If your mom can't see that, maybe she needs a reality check from Dr. Phil. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.